As Fu sat in his control room, he looked at his monitor once again. Madara entered. "What's this?" "I was just trying out another experiment." Madara looked at the screen. "Isn't that the Eren Jaeger fellow you were talking about?" "Indeed, it is, but it's a different Eren." "So what is this about?" "I want to test to see what would happen if we were to send Eren alone into the world of Evangelion. I wish to see if he and his rumbling can withstand the full might of NERV all by himself." Madara thought about it for a moment. "Mind if I join you? If I am to work with Eren, I might as well know a bit more about him." "That's the spirit!" Fu sat forward and pushed his remote toward the monitor. "Play movie." Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. It was quite the foggy day. As the founding Titan left Shiganshina and began to cross the sea, it had no idea where it was going. It just so happened to be a foggy day in Tokyo 3 as well. Even satellites couldn't peer through the dense cover, which was strange. This had NERV on edge. "Do you think it could be an angel?" Captain Misato Katsuragi asked. "I can't be certain," Hyuga said. "We're not picking up any readings. All blood pattern analyses are coming up negative. But that being said, we can't exactly scan through the clouds, so we can't be sure what it is." "Keep the Eva units on standby, just in case," Commander Gendo Ikari said as he looked over his clasped hands. All was quiet, and there was a sense of dread in the air. So much so that NERV issued an evacuation that they claimed was nothing more than a drill, to see if the people could handle it. All schools were closed that day, and the city retreated into the geofront, lowering down below the ground. Despite saying it was just a drill, the people knew that there was an odd sense of foreboding lingering in the air. It felt as though death itself were on the way, and there was no way for them to get past it. Children and babies cried, parents filled with anxiety. And Shinji Ikari? Well, let's just say he was doing the same thing he always did when he needed to cope. That was curling up in a dark corner somewhere and blasting whatever music he had recorded on his Walkman. Such an old model. Something about its analog nature just gave him a feeling like being back in his mother's womb. Like those glorious moments before birth that he could no longer remember. The ground began to shake and rumble. Seismographs were picking up continual and intense earthquakes, which could only be considered the same as massive footsteps. The JASDF were currently sending their scouting planes into the fog in an attempt to see what was going on. NERV was patched into the radio frequency, listening in. The pilot spoke. "Man, this fog is unnaturally thick. It feels like some cursed pirate ship is going to be coming out at any moment now, with its skeleton crew searching for some lost piece of Aztec gold." "That was oddly specific," Fuyutsuki said. "It's a reference to a movie," Gendo said. "Ignore it." As the plane flew through the skies, the pilot spoke up again. "Nothing so far, it just seems like ordinary..." "Wait, what is that?" he said. Everyone in NERV HQ perked up a little. "Is that... holy..." Suddenly, there was silence. 4500 X-ray, come in, another voice said. 4500 X-ray, respond. Suddenly, there was a voice. "This is 4500 X-ray. Remember when I said a pirate ship with a Bone Man skeleton crew? Well, I was right. Except there's no ship, and the Bone Man skeleton crew is of massive proportions. I've got imaging done. Sending it over now." The main screen of the NERV HQ showed something in the fog that looked like the Grim Reaper, with long, stringy, wet hair. "The heck is that?" Fuyutsuki asked. "It's an angel," Gendo said. "To battle stations," he commanded with the flick of his hand. The order was repeated multiple times as the alarm systems began to go off. The entirety of the geofront was put on lockdown, and everyone within immediately knew that their fears and dread were realized. The JASDF, hearing that it was an angel, loaded up their bombers with N2 bombs and began to take to the skies, hoping to end the threat before it came to land. However, as they flew above the fog, they suddenly saw strange projectiles flying up at them en masse. They attempted to avoid it, but were struck and exploded in midair, taking the N2 bombs with them. "Bombers are down! I repeat, bombers are down!" "Fools," Gendo whispered. "Prepare Evangelion units 2, 0, and 1. Tell them to get to battle stations." At about that time, Shinji was just sitting there, listening to his music. That's when the alarms went off. Taking off his headphones, he began to listen. What's going on? He wondered. It was then his cell phone rang. He picked it up. "Miss Misato, what's happening?" he asked. "We have an angel on the way. It's not confirmed with blood pattern analysis, but imaging has confirmed the presence of at least one unidentified size-class Titan creature headed this way, possibly more smaller creatures too. We need you at the EVA launch pad. Rei and Asuka are already reporting for duty. We need you to get to Unit 1 and help them defend Tokyo 3 at all costs." Understood. Shinji hung up the phone. He let out a shiver before doing as commanded. Rushing to the pen, he got into his plug suit and loaded into the cockpit. As the cockpit area was filled with LCL, Misato spoke. We've outfitted Units 1, 2, and 0 with experimental S2 engines. This should allow you to operate for an indefinite amount of time without connection to the umbilical wire. Please tell me you've tested this already, Asuka said. Misato went silent for a moment. Define test. Asuka let out an audible groan. You owe us for this, Captain Katsuragi, she said. I do, Asuka. How about tonight I take you all out for dinner? Does that sound good? Better be a frickin' filet mignon, Asuka replied. Unit 1 was loaded into place on the elevator. Suddenly, it shot up. Once it reached the surface, it was presented with a pallet rifle and was allowed to take its place between Units 2 and 0. Unit 0 on standby, Ray said. Unit 2 on standby, Asuka said. Unit 1 on standby, Shinji said. Just take it easy, Shinji. It's just another Wednesday. Remember, take deep breaths and focus on the here and now. We're here for you all of the way, Misato said. Shinji gulped. Yes, ma'am. They waited for some time until they finally got confirmation. Hyuga stood. Visual confirmation coming from the east, he said. The cameras showed a massive figure that towered over the Evangelions coming out of the mist, and below it was a veritable army of Eva-sized figures, each one depicted as a human being lacking clothes and skin. They seemed to smolder and burn, putting off steam. There's a lot more than we thought. They were covered by their own steam. Alba then spoke. Blood pattern analysis, still negative. We can't prove they're angels. It doesn't matter, Gendo said. Everything about the situation is strange. Regardless, command Eva Units 1, 2, and 0 to open fire. Engage Tokyo 3 defenses to aid in the attack. Aye, Commander. Misato then spoke to the 3 pilots. You're given the green light. Open fire. All 3 responded. Right. Aiming their weapons, they let loose barrage after barrage of shots. Entire hillsides disappeared as munitions depots and autonomous weaponry appeared and began to fire at the massive titans headed their way. AT field readings negative, Lieutenant Ibuki said. This truly is highly irregular, Fuyutsuki said. As the weapons fired, many colossal titans went down, but others continued to fight. It seemed as though no matter what was thrown at them, they kept getting up. These colossals could take insane amounts of punishment, and it seemed that they were regenerating as well. But by far, the biggest threat to them was the massive bone creature headed their way. It was just eating up shots without any issue. Whether pallet rifle or anything else, it just shrugged off the damage as if its body was made of powerful armor. Regardless of the caliber, the bullets just bounced off. They then began attempting to utilize heavy ordnance, including large missiles. However, as the missiles came in, it seemed that things were appearing on its back. They seemed similar to the colossal titans below, but far smaller. They couldn't have been more than 15 meters according to scans. Despite that, it made these things hard to spot, let alone hit at this distance. As the missiles came in, those things seemed to form projectile weapons out of their armor. They began to fire at the missiles, destroying them before they even got close. These things just keep getting back up, Asuka shouted over the radio. Tell me they have a weakness I'm missing, she said. They continued to analyze the titans as they came through. It seemed that the ones who had taken sufficient damage to the backs of their necks would become permanently incapacitated. It seems that severing the spinal cord at the base of the neck somehow kills the titans. Aim for that, Misato said. From there, they began aiming at the necks exclusively, which resulted in many titans dying instead of regenerating. Now we've got a chance, Asuka said as they continued to fire. But what about Big Boy? He's too powerful to be tanked by our pallet rifles, and those tiny things on top of him seem to be able to keep those missiles from hitting him. We'll be sending up some N2 mines, Gendo responded. Shinji, you'll take those mines, climb to the top of the creature, and attach it to its back. You'll then retreat, and we'll detonate it remotely. That should be enough to bring this thing to a halt, if not destroy it entirely. Shinji seemed hesitant. Pilot 1's heart rate and neural activity has gone through the roof, nearing cardiac arrest, Hyuga said. Misato got on the radio. Shinji, you okay? You can't expect me to climb up that thing under fire. If I slip and fall, I'll be ripped to shreds by those burning ones, he said. Shinji, calm down. Remember what I told you, take a deep breath. Shinji began doing so. You're not going to be alone. We're sending up more weapons. Rei and Asuka are going to be below you, providing cover. Now that we know how to kill these things, they might as well be made of paper. This is nothing, Shinji. Just another Wednesday, remember? Shinji nodded. Okay, Captain Katsuragi. Good boy. Now go make your father proud. Shinji nodded. A new set of weapons, both firearm and melee, were sent up alongside an N2 mine. Shinji took the mine. Rei spoke. We will punch a hole for Shinji. Don't treat me like an idiot. I know what I'm doing, Asuka said. You better not screw this up, Shinji, she shouted. They then led the charge. Once they got close to the founding titan, Shinji looked at its surface. How do I climb this? It looks like bone. Use your progressive knives. They'll give you something to pull yourself up with, Misato said. Unit 1's shoulder pads opened and presented the 2 knives. Storing the mine, Shinji took the knives and began to crawl up. Once he was at the top, he let the others below know. Rei and Asuka then retreated to keep from getting swarmed any further. Shinji saw the Warhammer Titans and various other types rushing him. Pulling his pallet rifle from his shoulder, he began cutting them down to buy time. He then planted the mine. Running along its spine, guns blazing, he jumped over the monster's head and landed on the ground in front of it, where he retreated to a safe distance. "I'm clear," he shouted. Suddenly, the mine detonated, causing the founding titan to explode in a massive mushroom cloud. All colossal titans nearby went up in smoke. "We did it!" Asuka shouted. "We defeated them!" They celebrated a bit too soon though, as immediately after there was a golden bolt of lightning, as a second explosion was seen of comparable size to that of the N2 mine. Everyone in NERV HQ stood still. Was it a second mine? No, Gendo said. This is merely phase 2. Misato looked back at Gendo. Phase... Looking back at the screen, she saw the shape of another colossal titan emerging from the blaze. "Shinji, Asuka, Rei, be careful. That thing's not dead." Asuka cracked her knuckles. "It will be when we're through with it," she said, raising her rifle. She squeezed the trigger, but nothing happened. Same for Rei and Shinji. "We're out of ammunition," Rei stated bluntly. "Well, that's fine. I'm more than happy to show 'em my fisticuffs," she said. Suddenly, they noticed a secondary creature, one of massive proportions. A giant worm-like being. Asuka almost vomited. "What is that thing?" "It appears to be some sort of ancient creature, perhaps an Onychophoran." The worm, with devastating speed, rushed toward them before suddenly stopping and burrowing into the ground. Alarms went off in NERV HQ. "How did that thing get into the geofront?" Misato questioned. "It doesn't matter. Repel it," Gendo said. "Rei, Asuka, I need you two down here, ASAP." "Roger, Captain Katsuragi," Rei said. Asuka also begrudgingly did as commanded, leaving Shinji alone to face Eren. As they were below in the geofront, Asuka and Rei battled the worm, whose size had changed to something more dangerous to them. It seemed as though they'd be unable to defeat it. It regenerated immediately from any attack, if the attack even managed to do any damage. "Shinji, you need to defeat the Titan quickly. Our scans indicate that this worm and the Titan are connected. Maybe if you defeat it, you'll defeat the worm as well." Shinji nodded. "We don't have much left, but we do have one DE Action Express loaded for your Eva. There's only one clip. Use it carefully." Shinji understood. Taking one of his prog knives in hand and the large pistol in the other, he drew closer to the Titan. When in range, he began to fire. He fired 4 rounds, 3 hitting the chest area of the Titan, with the 4th piercing through the throat and out the back, blowing out the nape. The Titan fell forward and hit the ground. "I did it! Target neutralized!" "The worm is still active," Rei shouted over the radio. "What? But I killed the target. Something must be wrong. I'm coming in to help." Shinji turned to go help the others in the geofront, but as he had his back turned, the founding titan had regenerated and risen to its feet. It began to run at Shinji. "Shinji, look out!" Misato said. He turned around and raised his weapon, firing 2 rounds, each missing. The founding titan punched the pistol out of Shinji's hand, causing it to hit the ground. The founder then formed a knife out of its hardened titan flesh and began to strike out at the Eva. Each of its attack rent pieces of armor off of it. Shinji traded blows with it, knocking out many teeth of the Titan, but it was far more brutal than Shinji was, and used its knife to rip Eva Unit 1's arm clean off. Shinji screamed from the pain as he was then knocked down by the Titan. It got on top and began peeling away at armor, finding the red core. With its knife, it began to continuously pound into the core over and over again. "Shinji, do something! You're going to die!" Misato declared. But what could he do? As he panicked, he looked into the face of his destroyer. That's when he noticed something. Behind the broken teeth, he saw it. What is that? It looked like a human man's head. Is that the core? He wondered. He then looked at his gun. How many shots have I fired? He wondered. 6 or 7? He had no idea. He prayed it was the lesser. Grabbing the gun with his only usable arm, he smashed the Titan in the side of the head with it and used his feet to push the Titan up off of him. As it roared in Shinji's face, Shinji made it swallow the barrel of his pistol. The head of Eren, connected to his Titan only by its elongated spinal cord, opened its eyes only for a moment to look upon the barrel of a pistol so large that the chamber seemed like a large mountainous cave. He sighed for a moment, and then the gun went off. The bullet came out of the back of the Titan's head, and it fell over dead. It too began to evaporate as finally the worm in the geofront dissipated. Shinji, tired from his battle, spoke. "Captain Katsuragi, this is Shinji. Target eradicated." Fu sat there for a moment. "Wow, what a battle." Madara shook his head. "That Jaeger boy lost. Are you sure about putting your faith in him?" Fu looked over. "This wasn't our Eren. Our Eren will be far stronger, I can promise you that. Just wait and see." Fu stood up. What's funny is the last time I saw the Eren I was talking about, he was in this world as well, but that time he wasn't alone and he was doing things in a far sneakier fashion. I wonder what'll happen there. And that's the end of it. In the end, Titans just aren't strong enough to handle Evangelions. Even this was something twisted just to give Eren a chance via the rule of cool, but in truth, while the founding Titan has some incredible powers, including even some limited time and space manipulation, its offensive and defensive capabilities aren't really that great. It has no AT field, and even though the Evangelions didn't use them in this video, they do have their own. Theoretically, they could have just stood there and left their AT fields up in a bubble and none of the Colossals could have touched them. That being said, Evas are larger than most Titans. In fact, I'm just taking a stab in the dark by saying Colossals are the right size. Evas can be even larger depending on what episode or series you're watching, but consistently, thanks to the rebuild movies, we estimate they're about 80 meters tall compared to the Colossals' 60 meter size. So all in all, basically Evangelion is like Attack on Titan with steroids, armor, better support systems, weapons, and the ability to run regardless of size. And considering that Titans aren't as dense as they are tall, an Eva could probably just sort of ragdoll them around. It's really one-sided in this battle, and despite the fact that I tend to prefer Attack on Titan in most cases, though I do love me some Evangelion, AOT just gets hammered 3 ways to Sunday. At least that's what I think. I'm interested to hear what you all think. Leave a comment down below and tell me. But remember to be kind to each other and respectful of others' opinions. We're all fans here. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when other videos like this drop, and try out one of these videos next. I'm sure you'll like them. Anyway, until next time, peace out.